Welcome to Crosstalk. I'm Peter Lavelle. Kosovo again on the brink after a less than successful election and allegations of organized crime, including organ trafficking and heroin smuggling. This self-proclaimed country is a threat to its neighbors. To discuss the allegations made against Kosovo's leadership, I'm joined by Misha Gavrilovic in London. He is a political expert on the Balkans. Also in London, we have His Excellency Zef Mazi. He is the Albanian ambassador to the UK and to the Republic of Ireland. And in New York, we go to Alan Cooperman. He's an associate professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas, and another member of our Crosstalk team, Jelena Hanga. All right, gentlemen, Crosstalk rules in effect. There are difference of opinions on this program, and I'd like my viewers to see them. If I go to you, Alan, first, the allegations that came out of the Council of Europe, serious allegations against the leadership, particularly the Prime Minister of Kosovo, over a week ago or so. These are very serious allegations. Given your knowledge of the Balkans, how much are you surprised by this? And do you think they're true? And what about the timing of it all?
Well, you know, for folks who've been following this for a long time, it's no surprise to have a report that says that there's organized crime in Kosovo, and that in fact the leadership in Kosovo right now, which are descendants of the rebel group, the Kosovo Liberation Army, that they are connected to this organized crime. We've known that all along from the time the rebellion started in the late 1990s. The latest allegations about trafficking in human organs are not new, but still not yet proved. But even if those turn out not to be true, the reality is that the leaders in Kosovo are the descendants of organized crime. And the question is, how much are they still involved in that sort of organized crime? Trafficking of drugs, trafficking of people, and now maybe trafficking of human organs. As for the timing, you know, from my perspective, I wish that there had been open discussion of this in the late 1990s. And maybe the United States and the UK wouldn't have been so eager to support this criminal element coming to power in Kosovo. But right now, that's water under the bridge, and we have to figure out how to go forward.
Okay, if I can go to you, Misha, a lot of people were saying back then exactly what Alan just said now. It was a mistake to back these people, the most violent element in Kosovo's politics. I mean, there are intelligence reports out there that we knew exactly who we were dealing with. But at the same time, in 1999, since we're bringing reference back to that, I'd like to quote someone rather well known today. Fighting for the KLA is fighting for human rights and American values. Joe Lieberman said that in 1999. I wonder if he would stick by those words today. Go ahead, Misha.
Well, he might do, because some people are quite brazen about it and think that an independent Kosovo is in the interest of the United States. But you're quite right. Many of those things were known at the time, and many other things have become worse. But we have to go back right to the beginning, namely to that intervention by NATO, effectively the bombing of the whole of Serbia, and then occupation of Kosovo. Something very unusual has taken place there, which has been ignored, and it is something that probably indicts not just Mr. Taci and the KLA, it indicts the United States and it indicts NATO. Because for NATO to move in, they've asked not only for withdrawal of the Yugoslav army at the time, they've insisted on the withdrawal of the police and all the legal authorities in place in Kosovo at the time. So you simply have a program, a lawless province at that stage. Withdraw police from anywhere, withdraw them from New York, withdraw them from London. It won't take long before you're going to get increased criminal activity. Here, there was a demand by the United States for the complete withdrawal of all the legal organs, the judges, the courts, everything. So, in fact, when NATO entered Kosovo, it entered into a lawless province. That is where we all start. As regards Mr. Taci, well, obviously this, he's being targeted here by the Council of Europe, and there are fairly detailed report, I should say, that goes into some intelligence reports as well. But indicted along with this are, of course, all those that have supported Mr. Taci. And that means the NATO powers, the United States, but also the state of Albania, because many of the things that are mentioned in the report have taken place within Albania. There is talk of KLA commanders operating directly from Tirana and using Albanian territory with the support of the, at the time, socialist government of Albania. Okay. So we have to take all that into account.
Okay, Misha, you mentioned Albania, and we have the ambassador here, the Albanian ambassador to London and to also the Irish public. Well, how do you react to the allegations that Dick Marty made in his report? Because we have the Prime Minister of Kosovo threatening to sue him, but I think, you know, it's fair to say that this investigator, Dick Marty, has a pretty good road record. I mean, 2007 with extreme rendition, he was proven very correct on those. So, I mean, given his background, a lot of people want to besmirch his character, but he's got a pretty good record. Mr. Ambassador, what do you think about all these charges?
Well, I would like to start with the two previous speakers. And I think that they put the scene a little bit wrongly, or suiting their own particular interests. I think that the whole thing didn't start with the KLA in Kosovo. The whole thing in Kosovo started with the policy of the Milosevic regime of Serbia, which actually had been trampling underfoot all the national and other human rights that every people in every nation should enjoy. And as such, they had stripped Kosovo from the autonomy that it had before, completely unilaterally. They had abrogated all the organs of Kosovo in 1999 by a decree in Belgrade. And what is worse, and that has been proven by a lot of international reports, is the use then of the military, the paramilitary, the army.
But Mr. Ambassador, how do you react to the report that has come out? I mean, and the indictment of the leadership of Kosovo today. I think on this program we could speak for months and months who did right, who did wrong, okay? I think I would like to invoke saying a lot of wrongs were committed by a lot of people, okay? Full stop. But what about this report? Because the Kosovo leadership is an indictment here. It's a damning indictment. Go ahead, sir.
Actually, if the center of the discussion today is about the report, that's fine. I could start with the report. But you didn't ask the question about the report for the two first speakers. And these two gentlemen are known to be political analysts of the Balkans, and I have the right.
And they will have an opportunity to respond. They certainly will if they will.
Also
go right ahead.
And anyway, but so we have to put it into perspective. When the whole thing started, it was after the entire population of 1 million had been at gunpoint ousted, evicted forcefully at trainloads, like in the times of pogrom, out of their homeland. And then, because of that terrible humanitarian situation with 1 million people evicted, 500,000 of whom came to Albania and 450,000 were also sheltered in Macedonia.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ambassador. Mr. Ambassador, I'm sorry. Can you answer the question? We're talking about this report, okay?
Now we come to the report.
All right.
So let's put the background into a clear perspective, as it was the beginning of this broadcast. The report is a serious one. It has very serious allegations, and I think that the way we have seen it, and we have seen it very closely, it has, and in its entirety, been based not on facts. There is not one single fact. The report writes on things that were basically written in 2004. There are no new evidence. If there is new evidence, this gentleman called Dick Martin, or Marty, whatever, he should produce the evidence and not say, and not hide behind sheltering the evidence, sheltering the trying to protect the witnesses and so on.
But you know, Mr. if I could just jump in
here. Go ahead, Alan.
You know,
Alan, go ahead.
Part of the problem is that the KLA and its descendants in the current government in Kosovo uses ruthless tactics against anybody who might testify against them. And so the former Prime Minister of Kosovo, Ramush Haradinaj, was called up to The Hague and was prosecuted for war crimes before and after the NATO intervention. So we shouldn't take the ambassador at his word that the problem started only after the ethnic cleansing. There was criminal activity, there were war crimes by the KLA before Serb troops rolled in and did the the ethnic cleansing.
Alan,
but the fact of the matter is when they tried to prosecute Ramush Haradinaj in The Hague, his cronies started intimidating and threatening with death those who might testify. So it's true that it's very hard to get the hard evidence on the record in this case, but that's because the KLA threatens to kill anyone who testifies against them.
Mr. Ambassador?
This is, let me jump in. I mean, these are all words of mouth. There's not one single proof that can prove that, what Alan is saying. The fact is that Ramush Haradinaj has been indicted, not only him, a number of others, and this is still going on. That means that Albanians have also been taken into the court at The Hague for what has been alleged that they have been doing. And when the court will come with a final verdict, then we can talk about the certainties that I'm hearing from Alan at the moment.
Okay, before we go to the break, before we go to the break, I'd like to listen to Misha. Jump in. We've only heard you once so far in the program. Go ahead.
Indeed. There are a number of misrepresentations here that have taken place, and Mr. Ambassador has simply used one. And I notice that in his writing, Mr. Alan Cooperman has done it as well. Pretty much the entire Western academic community has done it. This is the issue 20 years ago now, with Mr. Milosevic purportedly removing the autonomy of Kosovo and doing it unilaterally. This is entirely untrue, yet 99.9% of what the media and the Western academic institution reported is incorrect. What has actually happened is that there has been a constitutional change in the status of Kosovo, and this required the support of all 6 republics. The Yugoslav constitution at the time could not simply be changed by simply one republic. It required the complete consensus of all 6
I'm sorry, Misha, I'm going to have to
that
jump in here. We're going to go to a break, gentlemen. We're going to go to a break, and we'll discuss this when we get back. After a short break, we'll continue our discussion on Kosovo. Stay with our team.
It's the secret incursion into the country. It's the invasion by means of traditions, the language.
Желаю вам звести, расти, копить, крепить здоровье.
And culture. The thing is that the habitants are still unaware of what's going on in their land.
You discovered Alaska? Yeah. I have no idea.
About Alaska, like nothing.
I don't know anything about that.
Alaska, the great deal on RT.
Welcome to the future, bringing you the latest in science and technology from around Russia.
We've got the future covered.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. I'm Peter Lavelle. To remind you, we're discussing if Kosovo is a criminal state. But before, let's see what Russians think about this issue.
A crime boss on top? Kosovo Prime Minister Hashim Thaç's Democratic Party of Kosovo won the country's first post-independence general elections. Many call this poll a significant milestone in the development of a multi-ethnic democracy. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia on the 17th of February 2008. The Russian Public Opinion Research Center gauged citizens' opinion on the issue of Kosovo. 47% of the respondents say foreign countries should not intervene in the affairs of another country, and another 22% believe they should. Nonetheless, the West has already congratulated the people of Kosovo on the election. Peter?
Okay, Misha, I'd like to go back to you. Given this report, and I would agree with the ambassador, let's make sure we get all of the facts out there. However, Dick Marty has a good road record in investigating things. But Misha, really hasn't NATO got so much blood on its hand right now and so much responsibility? Pass it over to the EU. This is an orphan within the European Union. They can't wash their hands of this. This is their problem now, and they have what could be a war criminal, and if even worse, as their ally in Kosovo. I mean, the cows are coming home. They supported these people. Now they're going to have to cover up for them, make excuses. More aid money is being poured in there. I mean, this is really turning into a kind of somewhat of a nightmare for NATO and the U.S.
Yes, I agree with you fully. And many people would say that this was predictable. It was predictable 10 years ago. First of all, of course, the whole NATO operation was criminal according to international law. Let us face it, intervening, carrying out effectively an act of aggression was the supreme war crime at Nuremberg. That is why the Nazi war criminals were being hung. Now here you could hang all 19 NATO leaders for that, if we wanted to be consistent in this particular case. And let us face that Kosovo was in fact a forerunner for Iraq and a forerunner for Afghanistan before that. Now, those last two, Iraq and Afghanistan, are now being treated in the West as, to a large extent, failed adventures, especially Iraq. But this has not been recognized in the case of Kosovo. Kosovo, in fact, has been protected so that the West can show at least here we did some good. Well, this is now all being unraveled. And it is being unraveled not by, let's say, China or by Russia, who have opposed this, but it is being unraveled directly from Europe, from the Council of Europe, with 47 members participating in it. And I think this is going to put NATO and the intervening powers in a very difficult situation.
Okay.
But clearly, we need to get law and order brought into Kosovo.
Okay, Alan, if I can go to you, Alan, real quick here.
Peter. Yeah.
I was going to go, Alan. You know, I understand from your writings
I think the question, Peter, is what do we?
I was going to say, you know, I know your writings on this, that we can't undo what's been done, okay? The Western recognition of Kosovo, you don't think we should undo it, okay? That may be a different topic for another program. But how do we deal with the legacy here? Because if I could quote Dick Marty,
absolutely. I think that's what's important now is how do we move forward?
I'd like to quote Dick Marty from his report here. He said this on the 16th of this month. I don't think one can build the future of a country without working towards truth and working without memory. He also went on to say there will never be a peaceful coexistence between the different communities if we continue to pretend not to know. And I think that's very. How do we square the circle then? Not undoing it, but coming to some kind of closure on this. Go ahead.
I think the first thing that we need to understand as a result of this report is we have to understand the fear of Serbs in Kosovo. The United States, the UK have been saying for years to the Serbs, just live in Kosovo under Albanian rule. That's life. Just move on and forget the past. But if you understand that not only were Serbs ethnically cleansed, not only were Serbs killed, not only were Serb churches and historical sites destroyed, but maybe, in fact, Serbs had their organs physically removed. They were killed, their organs were physically removed and sold. You can start to understand why the Serbs of Kosovo don't want to live under ethnic Albanian rule. And that's why it's very, very important for us to understand that and to put pressure on Pristina to ensure that they give autonomy to the Serbs north of the Ibar River in northern Kosovo, and also to Serb enclaves elsewhere in Kosovo. That's first of all. Second of all, I think that Mr. Marty is right, that if we, as I've said, I don't think we can reverse history. I don't think that we can, after 72 countries recognize the independence of Kosovo, I don't think we can get them to unrecognize the independence of Kosovo. But we can't have a Kosovo in the heart of Europe. We can't have a Kosovo that's a criminal state. And so what that means is that we have to instill the rule of law. And you don't instill the rule of law by burying crimes. You have to uncover the crimes and you have to deal with them. And so what we have to say to Kosovo is, yes, we want you to be a full participant in Europe, eventually a member of the EU, but that will never happen until you deal honestly with the crimes of the past. Those, I think, are the two most important lessons from this report.
Mr. Ambassador, what do you think about what Alan just said?
Well, I think, again, this topic requires quite a lot of more time than we have at our disposal. First, as I said, all the allegations have been taken seriously by us, and we have looked closely at all the paragraphs. We see a very clear political bias in what has been said in the report by the author of the report. And this report has not been cleared by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe.
The bias is that he's telling the truth for the first time. That's the bias.
And Mr. Ambassador, what is his agenda? What is the agenda then? You say he has an agenda, the author of this report. What is the agenda?
I have read the report very carefully, and it looks like he tries the whole climate, the whole image of the Albanian nation and people on both sides of the border is one that is thrown mud onto. There's a lot of insult on the culture, on the traditions, on the history, and under the pretext of revealing the past and revealing the truth. I think you cannot insult the nation because it's unacceptable at all. And what you have been saying is utterly wrong. You can't talk about a criminal state in the center of Europe. You are absolutely wrong. And the entire message is that. The second point, let me finish. The second point is he wants to sort of play the parallel line between what happened in Kosovo at the hands of Milosevic machinery, war machinery, and what the KLA did, which you cannot do, and it's absolutely wrong. And thirdly, in this report, there is not any new clear evidence to substantiate what he writes. He says he has some, and if he has some, let him reveal everything he has, every fact, to the ULEX office in Kosovo. Then when we talk about the fourth point, whether Kosovo is a viable state or not, and whether NATO has been depicted the way that I have heard from both you gentlemen, is very unacceptable. NATO's hands are not blood-stained at all. NATO did what it was required to do to protect an entire people from annihilation. And actually, NATO put an end to the Balkan Wars, and we have all to thank NATO for doing that. Otherwise, we would have seen probably more atrocities going on in Europe. And I don't agree with the terms that I've heard before. This is not I would say, the civilized language that we would use in television. However, I have also the right to say that my authorities have, in 2004, cooperated fully with Carla Del Ponte's team of 15 prosecutors coming from the Hague, and they concluded that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever, so there was no need to open a case. Dick Martin himself visited Albania in 2009, and he was given all the assistance he required. And yesterday, the Prosecutor General's office in Tirana made a clear statement saying it's absolutely untrue what has been said in the report.
Okay.
However, the authorities in my country would be fully available to cooperate again with those institutions that are specialized to engage in investigations that require more expertise than the Council of Europe is doing with human rights.
Misha, are you satisfied with Are you satisfied with that the authorities in Kosovo would be so forthcoming?
No, they've had 11 years now to run a state and to show that they're capable of running a state and maintaining law and order, and they've singularly failed in this. Shall I say that I have also read carefully Dick Marty's report, and it is not directed at Albanians, either at Kosovo Albanians or Albanians in Albania. It is directed against the leadership, against the KLA and their supporters. I also have to make another point here. It is also very important. Dick Marty has had a relatively narrow limit here. He has concentrated on organ trafficking. There are a great many other things.
Misha, let me jump in if I can. Exactly what you are saying is true. That was his mandate. But in his report, he starts talking about the human trafficking, allegedly, only after Article 136, if you look carefully. And from Article 1 and to 136, he talks about the criminal Albanian mafia, about the criminal state of Kosovo, about the KLA trying to throw mud on the KLA and what they did in their war and efforts for their independence.
He has to solve
he has misused the mandate, clearly. I mean, if you read the report with this perspective, you see.
All right, gentlemen.
Clearly misused the mandate.
Gentlemen.
He has to.
Let me jump in here. We're running out of time. I want to give Alan the last word. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, as I say, I think what we need to do is we need to figure out how to move forward. And not only do we need to figure out how to get Kosovo to have the rule of law. We have to figure out how to get Kosovo into the EU. We have to figure out how to get Kosovo recognized by by most of the international community, and it still isn't. And if I could just raise the point, we also have another state with ambiguous recognition, and that's the two states in Georgia of South Ossetia and Abkhazia.
Well,
and
you opened up a huge can of worms with that one there.
No, but I'd like to see
I agree with you.
I'd like to see a grand deal with rule of law everywhere, and all the countries of the world agreeing on the sovereignty of states, because if we have disputed sovereignty, we really have a potential casus belli.
Okay, Alan, I can always count on you to end on a positive note. On a positive note. Many thanks to my guests today in New York and in London, and thanks to our viewers for watching us here at RT. See you next time, and remember, crosstalk rules.